Thank you for joining us for the 6th session of our weekly webinar series. We are continuing the C+8 apps presentation and demo, and today we're going to talk about Geo Map. But before getting into it, I would like to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Hardy Schloer. Hello Hardy, and welcome back.
Thank you. I am Hardy Schloer, and I'm welcoming you to our today's webinar, the number 6th, and got some exciting new app for you to see, and hopefully will be entertaining to you.
Thank you, Hardy. Now, can you tell us about the Geo Map app? Why and how was it built?
So, the Geo Map fills in a very important element, and that is global geography. Because we obviously think about events, we think about quantities and qualities in all kinds of ways, but there are quantities and qualities with respect to a global position, a country, a city, even a street address. And we want to understand how these things are interacting, how we can actually show them to you by using our forensic applications, so that you begin to understand what information can be seen through the lenses of geography, through the lenses of a place. Now, geography is an interesting thing, because geography incorporates all kinds of elements. It incorporates memory. That means history. That means that when you go to a particular city, let's say you go to the city of Hamburg in Germany, then there is a long history. Hamburg is more than 1,000 years old, and imagine anything there is to know about that one place, or anything that is to know with respect to a concept, an event, persons, behaviors, business, all kinds of stuff. So the Geo Map actually gives you the opportunity to use our known C+8 panel on the left side, always on the left of our apps, and set it up to show us what is interesting about any location on this planet.
I have another question. If you could choose several words to define the Geo Map app, but in a way that my great-grandmother, for instance, would understand, taking into consideration that she is not tech-savvy and is not familiar with the internet, what analogy could you give so that she could understand how to imagine it and what solutions and value it would have for her, and how it makes the world we live in a better place?
What happened where, with whom, and when? That would be it. That's very much to the point. So the nice thing about the Geo Map is that you can choose a time. You can go back a year, 2 years, and say, I want to know 2 years ago what was about this particular geography or this particular person with respect to a particular geography, and this application will enlighten you.
How far back could she go in the app? Perhaps to find information from her youth or to remember different places she's been to?
Well, nowadays, obviously, people are always interested in what happened now. A week ago is, for most young people, already distant memory. But we recognize that people will, in the future, want to know things that happened long ago. Now, the best way to understand that is, of course, news. And news only exists sort of for the last 120 years or so. So we will try, through the knowledge vault, to fill in enough history on news eventually, where people can actually go back in the 50s and the 40s and the 20s of the last century and search over there exactly the same things. But Don't forget there are other applications such as the QSearch knowledge, for example, that gives us other ways to go back in time and research that. But for the time being, for right now, when we opening the app, it will be 5-6 years that we can go back. But before long, we will be able to go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years, probably already by mid of next year, end of next year, we will probably be able to go back to the beginning of last century. So we will fill that gap very quickly.
Thank you. Can you please show us the app a little now?
Fantastic. So for that, let me direct you, please, now to my screen. So here you see on our portal the Geo Map, and I'm going to open that now. And here it is, okay? That actually is what we call the Geo Map, and well, we give you actually the entire world, as you can see here, okay? All the way down to the South Pole, and all the way up to the North Pole, it's all there, okay? So one of the really cool things about this GeoMap is that you can combine layers that we all carry for you automatically. And there will be thousands of these layers that we can set up, plus what you are searching for. Here's our familiar C+8 panel, and here you can choose either an exact date, okay, or you can go and you can go today or 7 days ago, year to date, 1 year, 1 month, yesterday. All of these searches are available, and then you can choose something that you want to know. Well, back to our map. By the way, our map, as I will show you now, let's go here to over to something that is more densely populated, then it will be easier. Let's go here to what is called, when we go into this village, you will actually see that this map goes actually on house by house level, street address exactly. So if there is a reference to a particular building, we can go that exact into the GeoMap. But let me show you something else that is quite interesting. So let's say I want one of the layers. Now we have, for now, only a couple, only for demonstration purposes, but very soon you will have much, much more. For example, we want nuclear power plants anywhere in the world. Here we go. Here they are. And then the nice thing is you can go mouse over, you can click on it, and you will see actually where they are, what type of nuclear power plant they are, even when they were established, the year, and so on. So here's one from 1985. There was one from 89. There was this one here from 1977. So very interesting things. You can visualize them very quickly. Earthquakes. Well, I'm just clicking on them. No earthquake. Okay. How about, well, not at least as part of Germany. Okay, we can go into temperatures, which we use in colorization. You can actually visualize flights. These are all airplanes that are over this area right now, commercial airline flights. Let's blend them back out. So there will be a couple of thousand layers that you will be able to access. That gives you a very, very good real-time dynamic knowledge about any piece of geography anywhere in the world, because these things are moving if they are movable. But let's go and look at something that we are actually defining in our panel, okay? And so here for the first one, this is still collecting, and you see how overloaded it's becoming. This is talking about, over the last months, about security and terror. What an incredible big subject in Europe. Then if you go over to Russia, not very much talked about. Then you go into Central Asia, more of an issue there. And when you go down here, you would think in the Middle East, south of Syria, that should be a very, very big subject. But in Oman, no, not at all. In the Emirates, only because they have now these events going on, the World Exhibition. But in Yemen a little bit. So you see, these subjects are much more interesting here in Europe. And of course, when something gets so convoluted, yes, you go in, and this will be much easier to see now. And so, for example, you can now go and click here on this particular location, and here we go. You will get the information that pertains, to this particular subject that you would like to see. That's how easy it is. Let's take another example. Here we have Elon Musk and Tesla. We had that on other examples before. That's why I used it here. A lot of talk about it in Italy, interestingly enough, and in Germany, little in England, Spain, very little, France, very little. In Eastern Europe, not at all. Yeah, in Bulgaria, in Romania, there are two examples. Okay, here we go. But you immediately can see, the interests of subjects. So now don't forget that the information is drawn from news that comes from every country in the world. So every country in the world is equally treated here, and you can see a beautiful distribution where Tesla and Elon Musk is most interesting, and that is clearly here, Germany, Italy, and the UK. Then let's go to one more example. This here is Mrs. Merkel, a month after the elections, more than a month after elections. And as you can see, highly popular in discussion all over the place. Of course, in Germany you would expect that, but very interestingly enough, Mrs. Merkel is a very big subject also in England, where she is being discussed, in Ireland, in the Netherlands, and so on. So here you see a quantitative distribution of the information with regards to geography, and having that geography available together with the C+8 information, together with these thousands of overlays that we are creating, you will actually be able to get a very, very exact and precise picture about any place on the planet. What's going on, what has been going on, what was there in the news in general, but because you can also search it by its own name, you can combine it with any kind of layer. So yet another way in how you can do forensic analysis about and create some knowledge about any subjects that interests you. Thank you very much.
In our previous webinars, we have already covered QSearch, the social circumplex, Prisma indicators, and now Geo Map. Could you please do a short recap for those of our viewers who perhaps have not seen our past sessions? How are these apps related, but also how are they different?
So, of course, once again, we typically you want to look at 4 different elements of knowledge. Raw information, and that means give me the study, give me that PDF file, give me that picture, give me that telephone number. That's raw information. And that you can get either by naming it, or you can use the C+8 panel by creating or boxing in through a filter what it is that you want to know. Then you get a step further. You want to know something quantitatively. How much of what, when, in what context. Now, this may sound a bit abstract, but this is exactly how we are thinking, you know. How much are we talking about a particular subject with respect to some frame of reference? How much do we talk about fairness with respect to football in Germany, or in England, or in France? These are conversations we have on a beer dish, you know, in the bar at night. And in fact, we're giving you a tool in which you don't need to listen to opinion. You have the facts. Remember, opinions are not facts. Opinion is not knowledge. What we want to give you is knowledge. And then, of course, we have qualitative understanding. Do people really like this coach, that judge, this president, that actor? Where do they like it? In what context do they like it? And so on. That would be qualitative information. You can do that with the social circumplex. These are things that we discussed, as I just said, at night on the dinner table, or in a bar, or in a school, or in business, or in business analysis, or in business intelligence. So, and then we have, of course, the associative information. How does something connect with what and through what? How come that there is a connection between this politician and this event? How do they connect through what? And that would be associative knowledge, QSearch. So we covering with our applications. First of all, we're using always the same search panel, always the same filters, always the same data approach, but we are free to search for anything through these applications. And this is why they work beautifully together, and they work so well because they involve you to produce knowledge. They are not just giving you some answer, you are part of the answer by actually having to think about what the answer actually should be giving you. And that's why these applications are so valuable.
Thank you very much, Hardy.
Thank you very much.
That's it from me for today's session. I would now like to welcome Chris Edwards, our project manager, to take over for the live Q&A session. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, Edainers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to webinar number 6. Webinar number 6 is again addressing C+8 applications, and tonight's episode revolves around the Geo Map application. To start, we're going to address, I think we've got a couple of people on live with us here currently, if I'm not mistaken, Emma and Sarah, my trusty partners. And Sarah, if you would kindly connect me with whomever it is that we have in the room at present. I believe it is Oliver. Is Oliver not on with us? Well, I'll tell you what, in an effort to move, we seem to have these issues.
Hello?
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
It would seem that Mr. Dr. Schloer is with us. Hello, Dr. Schloer. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, ladies.
Welcome.
Sorry.
No problem. Welcome to episode number 6. Okay, now I see everybody that's in the meeting room with us. So Hardy, we're going to start here. We've got a few people online with us presently. We have Mr. Oliver Studnicka. Oliver has a question for you. Are you set and prepared?
I am.
Okay, Oliver, can you unmute, please? I see that you're muted. Can you unmute your mic?
Okay.
There we
Hello.
go. Hi, Oliver. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Where are
Can
you
hear me?
logging? Where are you? Yeah, we hear you. Where are you logging on from tonight, Oliver?
I'm from France.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
I'm in the Czech Republic. Dr. Schloer is in Barcelona, and you're in France. So let's let's get it on. Oliver, what's your question for Dr. Schloer tonight?
Yeah, first of all, I think that this project is very important, very ambitious, and that it can revolutionize learning in a universal way. The distinction you make between knowledge and information is crucial for me. I am a psychologist in France, and I work with children who have cognitive difficulties.
Okay.
I have to find a way to teach them things despite their low IQ. This is one of the reasons why I'm very interested in your project. My question is, I think what makes search engines like Google so successful is in large part because of their very simple and minimalist user interface. But seeing your presentation of one of your app, Prisma, which seems to be rather complex, I was wondering if you are working on simplifying the user interface, which seems to me to be an important element to take into account. Thank you.
Sure, you bet. Thanks for the question. Dr. Schloer.
Hello, Oliver. Thank you. I heard your question loud and clear. And the answer is yes, absolutely. Now, actually, our interfaces are not at all complex once you get the hang of it. But in any case, we're working on an interface that is entirely by speech, where you can ask and the interface reacts, and where the interface asks qualifying questions to make sure that it brings you the information that you really want. We even working on interfaces where the results are being abbreviated and read back to you. All of this is stuff that we're going to be doing downstream. See, we want the knowledge vault especially to become the companion of anyone that seeks knowledge at any given moment. And we never know which knowledge it is that you need to know. So we build it very generalized. So you have as much access to information about spaceships as you have about how ants behave in the forest, or how politics are shaping up in Ghana. So it doesn't matter what you want, but we will make it speech-based as soon as possible, but not neglecting as well the scientists that like the tools that we build, to be very precise, to be very exact in what they want to bring out. I hope that answered your question, Oliver.
Yeah, and actually to maybe add a little bit to this as well, one of the first apps that you guys saw is a B2B app And bearing in mind, and I presume all of you have probably seen some of the other webinars or AMAs and maybe the white paper and so on. Over time, we envision that the available number of knowledge apps that will tap into the knowledge vault will be in the many thousands, tens of thousands probably. And B2B apps will no doubt be different than B2G apps and B2C apps, and ranging in complexity really from A to Z. So I think your observation of the decision point application as a B2B app is probably accurate along those lines, but you'll have B2C apps as well. For learning for children of all ages, younger ages, and people with disabilities as well. Certainly, no doubt. I mean, if you consider that the knowledge vault is the sum total of the world's most available knowledge, I think it stands to reason, and it's probably understandable how and why so many applications could be built around it. So I believe, and we'll move on to the next questioner here. I think I'm just going to go through the list here, Sarah and Emma, but I believe we have Boris Bottinger on with us. Boris, are you still here? There he is. Good evening,
Yes,
Boris.
I'm here. Thank you.
How are you,
Hi.
sir? Nice to have you on with us.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to have this Q&A. And yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Good. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you. My question is more of a general kind. In which business fields do you see in particular the C+8 technology to be established, or to be like adding surplus value and gaining like a state-of-the-art status in future? So which industries will have will use this technology intensively?
Well, it strikes me almost like the question, where will be writing most applied, or something like that, I cannot imagine any business or anyone that wouldn't need or would not want to use these particular tools. Now, the question, of course, is when we go into the specialized verticals, what are we going to do first? Well, given that the knowledge vault resides in a UN foundation, and that the knowledge vault is supposed to support most of all the 17 goals of the United Nations sustainability development goals. I would say that anything that is connected to sustainability is important, but that brings about just about anything except perhaps some real niche areas. But we probably will early on focus on environment, on medicine, on education, on business intelligence, because a lot of a need is there.
Yes.
Resource management, these kind of things.
Okay.
They will be very early on important, obviously.
Okay, thank you, sir. So that's what you also focusing on in your business strategy now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's this. If you look it up under the United Nations, the 17 sustainability development goals.
Okay.
They define a very wide range of specific things that probably, Chris, if you have them in front of you, maybe you just read the 17 goals, what they are actually, really quick. Then that makes more sense actually. Chris, do you have them in front of you? First to Chris. Chris, are you there?
I'm muted, sorry. I do have them nearby if we can hold tight for just 1 second.
That's interesting for all the people actually that are listening to us, because these are the foremost things that we're gonna be focusing on also when we build specialized access tools. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm just looking for
just take the logo, the new logo of the Knowledge Vault. They're all in there.
Oh, I know. So the 17 SDGs supported by 169 specific targets are no poverty, zero hunger, good wealth and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals are the 17 UN SDGs.
So that's what the Knowledge Vault is foremost going to support. That's where our initial goals are, and that's what we're going to be pushing first of all. And of course, our data that we are collecting will foremost, support these areas.
Okay, Boris, are you done?
Yes, thank you very much. Very comprehensive. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Boris. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're gonna move to Mr. Prentice, Ron Prentice. Are you on with us? I see you're watching a baseball game.
No, it's just my background screen.
Okay, I was just kidding. How you doing, Ron?
I wish I was watching a baseball game.
Right. Good evening.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. So,
okay, indeed. We're a little ahead of you.
I'm just doing on vacation here. Anyways, I have a question. When will beta testing be available, and how can someone like myself participate? Is there going to be a beta test?
So you're asking when you can actually use the applications?
Yes.
To test them. There will be a set of basic applications, but they are not so basic. They actually will allow you a very, very, very comprehensive research. But they will be available, I believe, on March 31st of next year. That's when we open them up.
Okay.
And we are preparing to support a very, very large user base at that point.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, Ron? Okay.
Well, I don't know. Can C+8 be used in iterative problem solving?
Well, let me tell you, C+8 allows you to break down anything that is conceivable in the universe into its atomic existence and behavior on the smallest of levels up to the highest of levels. So it is a complete wall-to-wall generalization of data, not just the data itself, but also its behavior and causality embedded within the data and within its timelines and within its event lines and within its sequentiality. And so therefore, this is the first model that actually allows to go into every dimension, including time, including causation, to understand the smallest to the largest of elements, and we call them data fusion objects. And these data fusion objects can be layered and obviously have high and lower level hierarchies, and so you can build the entire universe into one super complex DFO, or you can go all the way down to a tiny element of knowledge, which is then also a DFO. All of that is covered within the C+8 data model. So it will be it will be the first real n-dimensional data model that has achieved complete generalization. That we actually very proud of to have been able to build and patent.
Awesome. Very interested to get a hand of this in late March next year.
Yeah,
See the capabilities of this product. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we also obviously, fortunately, we are now through the United Nations program. We are connected to about 1,300 universities, the 1,300 top universities, if I may say so, in the world. And we obviously going to publish a lot of stuff to the IT department so that they can begin to actually make that available to students, to make programs, to build master programs, or even PhDs on them, and so on. So yeah, there are a lot of big plans on that, and we planning on being as disruptive as we possibly can be, because this is a good disruption. This is a disruption that really helps the world. See, our goal is to be able to understand our collective actions on this planet, so that we understand what the consequences are of them while we engage in them. And for that, you need these kind of tools that we built, and this will actually help for us to make significantly better decisions, whether they are on an educational level or on a commercial level, on a governance level, on an organizational level, on a personal level, doesn't matter. Because all of these decisions are compounds together to what the world is, what we believe, what our belief systems are, and so on and so forth. So I think also that C+8 is probably the best weapon against disinformation, false information, and conspiracy theories, and all of these things that have harmed this world so badly over the last decades, 2 decades, perhaps even longer than that. We need to get to the purity of information and knowledge, and we need to realize what is real and what is not. And so we hope we disrupt in that direction. Thank you for your attention on that one. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks for joining, Ron.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, we're going to move on to Duryu. Duryu, you're online with us. I see you're muted. If you could please unmute. You have the floor with Dr. Schloer. Are you wanting to join, or do you want me to read your question? I see you posted it in chat here. Duryu? Okay, well, Hardy, I'm going to go ahead and read Mr. Duryu's question. His question to you is, hello, everyone. My question is, DELL is partnering with you. In what way will they participate in the project? Very, very common question. Hardy?
Yeah. So, look, we sat down with the top management of DELL and showed them what we about to do and what we want to do. And we said to them, look, we need a committed partner for the next 20 to 30 years, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen on database level, on a cloud level, there's a lot of technology that we need. We need a really, really good technology partner with hardware that can work with us every step of the way. They looked at what we want to do. They actually started to build a massive proof of concept at their own cost to support us. And I can not say enough wonderful things about DELL. They really, really stepped up. We are now preparing, obviously, for the integration of very, very, very large systems over at the Knowledge World. And we are, really looking forward. Especially, I wanted to thank here Adrian McDonald, who been a fantastic supporter of the Knowledge World project and the whole thing that we are putting together with C+8. So they are here. They are our quarterback. They actually help us to configure, to build, to do everything that we need to have in order to run such a complex global system. And I don't think anyone else would be as qualified and as enthusiastic and as partnerly than DELL has been in this. So we are very, very happy and very lucky to have them as a technology partner here to help us to build this system. Chris, you might want to add something here to it. If I didn't cover something here, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, no problem. Hardy, we're just going to keep moving on because we've got lots of folks here sort of lined up, and I'd like to get to as many of them as we can because we have quite a number of questions and unfortunately not enough time. I'm going to move on now to Nil Serra. Nil, I see that you're online with us. If you are and would like to ask your question of Dr. Schloer, please unmute yourself. Are you there, Nil?
Please, can I go first? I'm kind of in the hospital.
Okay. Nil, hold on just a second, if you would, please. Go ahead. You're on with Dr. Schloer.
All right. Okay. So this is Jasper. I'm calling from Moscow, in Russia. Wow. I'm studying here. So the first time I actually heard of the whole program thing, to be honest, I kind of just filled the form because of the promise token. I won't even lie. And then I decided to check out the first meeting that was held online. I won't lie. I just filled that because of free tokens and all that. I realized, oh, it's going to provide like knowledge to people. It didn't just say specific people, but all over the world. And I was like, how is it going to happen? Because people that don't understand this C+8 technology, they won't even understand how the whole process works. The whole technology thing is getting to people even that cannot access, should I say, basic technologies at the moment. But this is a project that has made a specific kind of promise. And so I was like intrigued on how exactly do you plan on doing this to people that don't even understand exactly what C+8 technology is all about? How is this knowledge going to spread like all over to all humans? From what I have read in the last meeting that was held online, I would really appreciate how this is going to like get to everyone, because I believe that knowledge, they say right now, is power. But for those people who can't really access this type of technology at the moment, by the way, I'm from Nigeria. I'm just studying here in Moscow. So this is the reason I decided to join the meeting today.
Good for you. We're glad to have you. Thanks so much. Dr. Schloer?
Wonderful. Well, there are multiple answers to your questions and multiple answers on on different levels. Now, there's probably one thing that every thinker would agree, and that is today's problems, they should have been solved yesterday. Today, we need to solve tomorrow's problems. Too late to solve today's. Tomorrow, people will be significantly, and I mean, I'm saying tomorrow, I even mean a month from now, 2 months, 5 months from now, because we are exponentially in speed begin to understand more and more technological things. If you look at a 12-year-old today, he knows more about technology than 50 years ago a grown man at the age of 40 or 50, and I mean by multiple times more. People adapt nowadays and in the future faster and faster and faster to very, very complicated things. At the same time, things that appear and perhaps are a bit complicated today, they will be very quickly much simpler to understand, and become much simpler to use. So when we talk about knowledge, there is, and this is the third element I want to bring in here. Knowledge means not entertainment. It doesn't mean you push a YouTube button and then you listen to some lecture through which you fall asleep halfway through. Knowledge is something that is interactive, that requires you and the information to intersect on an active level. And that is what C+8 provides. And maybe for the one or the other, it will be a little bit to adapt for a day or two, maybe 3, no more than that. And it's just the same as it took some time to adapt to a basic search engine. Today, when we use Google, it's the most basic thing we can imagine, you know. But when you, for the first time, use the search engine, you have to think about it too, probably at least a minute or two. But
That was
what
me.
what we definitely will be doing is we will make the interaction speech activated, and we said that earlier in this podcast. We will in fact, we're working on that now to build language tools in which you can talk to our knowledge vault, just like you would talk to a person. And that will be a big step up from using it at first through an application interface in which you get very involved, all the way to where you interactively talk with the knowledge world, where the knowledge world gives you answers and reconfirms and requalifies what you really want to know and how you want to know it and so on. So this is a process, and that process is happening between when we go online with the vault on March 29, and probably in the first 6 months to a year, you will see incredibly fast growth in the variety of applications and interfaces and simplifications of the same. We want to make sure that knowledge is becoming a utility. In that way, it really will support the 17 goals of sustainability of the United Nations, and that's what we are after. So I hope that gave you sort of a good answer of where we are going and what we are doing.
Oh, yeah, you helped break it down. It's okay. Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mr. Boke. Bet.
Chris, go ahead with the next question. We still got 9 more minutes, I think.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think we may run a little bit over today. Gabriel, I see that you're still online with us here. Actually, I'm sorry, Nil, do you want me to read your question or would you like to jump on with Dr. Schloer? Oh, I'm sorry, he can't use his mic. You know what? I'm gonna read Mr. Sarah's question for you, Hardy.
Yeah.
Nil's question to you is: will it be possible to train AI models using Edain? If so, can we estimate the computing power of it? This is a good one. a lot.
There's a lot of things tossed around that we need to sort out a bit.
I don't think there's one specific answer to this question. It's rather vague or rather broad, rather. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's different. Anyway, yes, we're using AI, and yes, Edain will give you access to that AI, but and yes, we can estimate what the machine cost is of doing a comprehensive analysis of something. So yeah, 3 yeses of three vaguely defined questions.
And Neil, if your question specifically is can we estimate the computing power of a specific query, the answer, of course, is yes. And is if you've been on previous webinars with Dr. Schloer or any of the AMAs, the question has arisen before, and that is, every query that is entered into the system by a human or a machine, there will be a cost that is provided to the user that is run in real time and returns costs, very transparent breakdown of what those costs are, whereby the user can then choose yes or no. And part of that estimate is, of course, the computing power. So if you're talking specifically about a query to the system, the answer certainly is yes. And I think overall or segmented and however you might choose to, of course, we can calculate the computing power required to run any sort of function. I hope that suits you, Neil, and I know your mic's not working, so I hope that's okay for you. Gabriel, I see that you're still online. Sure, you bet, Neil, no problem. Gabriel, you're still online. Can you please unmute your mic so you can have the floor with Dr. Schloer?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. I have to admit, I believe your project is really amazing and a bit scary, to be honest. Everything seems to evolve at an exponential rate, and this technology is already expected, but information is power, and when power is not used for good, that's a problem. Now, I know I wrote only one question, and I have many questions, but I'm gonna be brief. I know human behavior is, in most cases, quite predictable for individuals and even more for masses. Does that mean you found a way to read those patterns and interconnectedness where we all see chaos? That would be my first question, which is not written previously.
Gabriel, we'll start. Go ahead, Coach.
Mike, good evening.
Gabriel,
you are definitely. Yeah, oh, it's Gabriel. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Gabriel. Gabriel, obviously you are a thinker, and I like that. There are. I wish we had an hour time to talk about these things that you just mentioned, because they really deserve to be discussed. And I think what we will do in the future, we will dedicate an entire podcast to that. Maybe not even just one, but a mini series of 3 or 4, because it's very, very important that we are very, very clear on where we are going with this kind of technology. See, there's all these voices are out there. There is the voice of Mr. Putin, which says no problem with AI. You know, AI is good and it's fantastic. And then there is Mr. Elon Musk, which says AI is a real danger to society and to the future. AI is also identified in the last or in several of the economic forums in Davos as one of the global threats. So to take all of that, what we needed to do most of all is to take away the black box and make the results of AI transparent, so that we actually see what causes what and how and through what. And C+8 does exactly that. It actually gives you, through the results, the screens and so on, it gives you some amazing answers, especially when you mentioned some of the social issues here. When you use our social circumplex, you get a transparency of the interplays of information and human reaction that is truly amazing. And by making that not a feature of a few that can afford, but make it a feature for everyone. Everyone is invited to buy Eden, come to the box and use the tools. And that is what we needed in this world, is that there is equal access, not just to clean air, not just to food, but equal access to clean knowledge, to transparent knowledge. And that is something I've been working personally on for the last 25 years to achieve. And C+8 now finally does that. So it was very, very important to one, make AI be something that can be understood. That's not a black box. And two, give very, very clear and open results in how things are behaving, how the line of causality works, how one thing pushes and changes the dynamic of something else. Once we do understand these things, we then also can shape our own behavior. Now, you then started in the beginning by saying, what is if this technology falls in the wrong hands? It's not the technology, it is what the technology spits out, which is clean knowledge. Now, I believe one thing. I believe that if both, and I'm using now these terms I'm saying next in a more poetic than actual way, but you will understand what I mean. If you give God and the devil the same knowledge, I think after a while they will behave in the same way, because both seek absolute sustainability forever. And sustainability can only happen by adopting and applying knowledge and behavior that guarantees a sustainable existence into the future. And so I believe that we are not need to worry about whether or not knowledge falls into the wrong or the right hands. Important is that knowledge falls into all hands, so that we collectively and in a consensus choose preferred futures for our existence in our planet. Preferred futures are those that we are collectively and in a broad adaptation choose and move forward. And I used to be and still in a think tank which called the Club of Amsterdam, which my good friend Felix Bob created. And here we always discussed in all of our forums that we had, what is our preferred future? Not what is our future in what is coming at us, but how do we shape the future that we collectively want for all of us, that makes all of us living in a beautiful planet that we all want to live together. And that requires that we are interactive with our learning, interactive with our understanding, that we are interactive around this planet with understanding what you do in India affects me in Chile, and what you do in Canada has some effect on me in Jamaica. So it's very important that we have for that a wall-to-wall generalized system of behaving, of thinking, of interacting, and so on. And that is exactly what we want to deliver with C+8, the knowledge world, Edain, and the technologies of Prisma analytics. So that's our goal. I hope I answered your question here well.
Yes, you did. Thank you for your answer, Dr. Hardy. That sounds amazing, and I really look forward to see it at work.
Yes, I am looking forward to millions of people using it and spread the enthusiasm about it. It deserves.
Thanks so much for jumping on with us tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, you want to do one more?
Yeah, I think we can grab one more here, Hardy. Akash, are you still on with us?
Yeah, Tim.
Okay, Akash, go ahead. You've got the floor with Dr. Hardy.
I would like to thank Mr. I am really satisfied with your answers, Hardy. Really, man, I am really highly experienced with the project. This Edain project, really, I found this very interesting and of different kind related to other projects. So I just have a little question that it's very unfortunate that some of the initiatives which are carried or forwarded become stopped or goes failed because the developers or the creators abandon or dismiss their ideas. So there might be some reasons for abandoning their ideas or the projects. So how do you keep the ideas of keeping the project on the track?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for your kind words. And so let me tell you something. I started to develop very early on the ideas of something that needs to be built along the lines that we are now doing, starting in the early 1980s. I don't know if you were born then already, but a big push gave me the events of 1987 and 1989. 1987, the big stock crash, Black Monday, if you ever heard about it, and the other were the real estate crash in Japan in 1989. And I wanted to understand what what it is that drives people in waves to behave in certain ways that may be terribly detrimental in years and decades and futures to come, when technology is so much more consequential and so much more powerful. And so ever since then, I have worked on a system that can deliver real time, wall to wall, consequential knowledge. So where we understand where we're going, what is happening, and if I move my pawn one step forward in that direction, this will happen. Just like on a chess game, you know. But the chess game is something quite primitive. It has only 64 fields. It has only a handful of rules, and it has only a handful of types of pieces. And so it's quite easy to understand all the possibilities, all the consequences. Not so in the chess game of the real world, where we don't have 64 fields, we have billions, and where we have, yeah, billions of rules and billions of possibilities. The exponentiality of possibilities goes up very quickly and very high. So we needed to have something that solves that. Now, I can tell you that if our children want to be in a world that is worth living in, we got to do the right moves today. We got to fix the problems of today, and we got to fix the problems of tomorrow. The ones of today we late, but the ones for tomorrow we can fix. And we need to do that now. And so you can be absolutely sure everyone on our team and everyone interfacing with our work begins to understand what this is all about. This is about to provide the kind of fluid, transparent, and needed and dynamic knowledge that it takes to shape tomorrow in a safe way along the 17 goals of the United Nations sustainability. And so we are not going to give up. We are not going to stop. I'm on this for decades, and I will work on this until the last breath I take. And we have a big team of young people that will stay with that project, and we will gain every day more and more and more people. We are now going to reach out to 1,300 universities around the world that are in where we are bringing these technologies and these possibilities to younger generations that are now going to be the leaders of tomorrow and the decision makers of tomorrow. And it's important that they get the tools that they need to have and the knowledge that they need to have and the access to real-time knowledge that they need to have to make the right decisions. So we are not here to get rich or this or that, although you know some would like that. But what it really is all about is to live in a planet that is worth living in, and that is my goal. And so I hope that uh, um, and of course, if you have the right knowledge commercially, if you have the right tools, of course, you know you have prosperity, and and gaining prosperity through the knowledge we provide is nothing more than another important proof of concept. So I hope we will create lots and lots of millionaires and billionaires in the future. But more importantly than that, we hope we create a planet that will be beautiful, that will be safe, that will be free of conflict, and that will be one worth living in. Back to you, Chris. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, yeah, Hardy. Yes, yes, yes. You were right. Right. The level of this project is really, man, it is really appreciable your work, and I am really satisfied with your words that the team is being putting his efforts to for extending the projects for longer duration. I really, man, thanks.
Okay, so listen, yeah, thanks so much for your contribution, Akash. Thank you, and thank you for joining. Listen, folks, we're past the hour, of course. We still have a load of questions that we've got posted here, and unfortunately, we can never get to all of them. I would like to point out just a couple that came online that we thought we were going to get to. One is Marius Hinchu. If you're joining on with us next week, I will make sure that you get your question answered first. Also, I think we've got Mario Papalashi. You have a question about price forecast. We would defer that to next week if you're able to join us, and I will make sure that gets in. Everybody that's here live with us on the call, from Mr. Duriu, Ron, Ron Prentice, I think we had Gabriel, Boris, I think you're still with us. Thank you for being online. Nil and Akash, we really appreciate you guys taking your time coming out to engage with us, and hopefully we were able to shed a little bit of light for you guys. And of course, everybody else that watched the webinar on YouTube, and maybe listening remotely, tuning in remotely. Thanks so much for joining. Next week, come back and join us for webinar number 7. We'll have more discussion about C+8 applications, and we'll openly field questions as we do every week. Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for all your attention. Thank you.